Farron, we've got another report, another scandal from Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. This one's a little more difficult to follow. So he fired 3 officials recently, saying that they had leaked the war plans for the invasion of the Panama Canal that they were working up secretly. However, it has now come to be a rumor, a somewhat credible rumor, that that information was obtained, at least partially, from an illegal wiretap by the National Security Agency. According to reports, the Trump advisors say they're no longer able to know who to believe within Pete Hegseth's orbit.
This really is it's such a ridiculous scandal, definitely a scandal, but it's so crazy because nobody knows who to trust. Not that we don't know who's telling the truth, it's that even Trump's people say, listen, all these guys over here at the Pentagon, we don't even know anymore, including Trump's former lawyer, who happens to be Pete Hegseth's lawyer, Tim Parlatore. So here's what happened. And I love how the media also glosses over the fact that they had war plans for the Panama Canal. Kind of seems like a bigger part of the story, but you had 4 members of the Pentagon that knew this investigation into the leak was going on. And they claim to have uncovered information that they, the Pentagon, were illegally wiretapping employees to find out who the leaker was. These 4 Pentagon employees were so scared by this, they went to Vice President J.D. Vance and they brought him whatever it is they had and they said, listen, Vice President, they are spying on their own employees illegally. There's no warrants involved. You have to do something. Please help us out. So that's when Vance goes to the White House and the White House investigates and says, no, we didn't really see any evidence of this. And we think it's Tim Parlatore lying to us that there was a wiretap. And then Parlatore says, I never said anything about any kind of wiretap to anyone. So it's a very weird situation where we have no clear answers or even inkling on who to even come close to believing at this point. One of the weirdest scandals I've seen in like 20 years of doing politics, because there's no clear answer on any of it.
Well, and Parlatore has just announced he's going to be stepping away because he's got to go defend another one of his clients because he still has an active practice as an attorney in addition to whatever his role is here at the Pentagon. And to be clear, Hegseth has no chief of staff and no deputy chief of staff. There's just 6 people. So the $1 trillion organizations of the U.S. military apparatus do not have a clear chain of command any longer. And this is another in a long line of scandals with Hegseth, famously the Signalgate scandals where he was leaking information to his wife, to his brother-in-law. His wife has some role in the Pentagon now but doesn't have security clearance. One of the stories that I saw when we were doing research for the show was that he announced that they were canceling the Defense Department participation in the Women, Peace, and Security Act of 2017. He specifically said this was a United Nations program pushed by feminists and left-wing activists that politicians fawn over it and troops hate it. It then came out that this was actually Trump legislation that had been co-sponsored by now DHS Secretary Christine Noem. So not leftists, but people in the Trump cabinet signed by the Trump presidency. He says it was leftist. They can't get their story straight. He's not done, I think, but one press briefing. And recently, it's just been breaking fairly recently that an OAN reporter, obviously Trump's pet news organization, was fired for questioning why all of this access to the media has been limited by the Pentagon.
Yeah, and look, Hegseth, what are we now, 4.5-ish months into this administration? His department has just been suffering from scandal after scandal after scandal. And honestly, this is one of the people, well, let's be clear, none of them should have been confirmed by the Senate. But if anyone had more red flags than Hegseth, I don't know who it was. This seemed kind of like a slam dunk. We can not vote for this guy and get somebody else in there. But nope, they fell in line. The Republican senators didn't put this guy in this position. So you take this former Fox News host who had already been accused of misusing the charitable funds that he was receiving, multiple reports of him using that money to go out drinking, going to strip clubs, fun things like that. And we're surprised that we have this level of dysfunction at the Pentagon. I know we're not, but too many people in the public are like, wow, this is ridiculous. No. When you look at this guy's history, when you realize he's the guy from Fox News who said he didn't believe in washing his hands, no, this all makes perfect sense, and we're going to see more of it. And if this had not been the beginning of the Trump administration, I do think he would have been fired. But I think firing him when Signalgate first broke in early March would have made Trump look really bad. So I think in time, especially if another thing happens with Hegseth, I think he's going to be one of the first people fired from this administration. Or he'll just make the decision, I think it's time for me to take a step away, but somebody will have made that decision for him.
Well, I think we're all just waiting for the next scandal to come out of the Pentagon and the department. Unfortunately, especially as they gear up for the birthday parade that's coming, reports coming out that the estimates are on the low side, that there's going to be $20 million in damage just to the roads alone. Again, this is not the man we need at this time of geopolitical instability.